sugar, please. Straight talk, sounds plenty sweet to me.
Seminar attendees at Raleigh Studios in Hollywood received a crash course in screenwriting from Tom Schulman, a true master of the craft. Mr. Schulman won the Screenplay Academy Award for writing Dead Poet Society. He also wrote the smash hit film What About Bob, starring Bill Murray, and co-wrote the family film blockbuster Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Mr. Schulman has also produced movies, including the provocative film Indecent Proposal, starring Robert Redford. This in-depth interview was conducted by James Jordan, screenplay consultant and owner of Candid Coverage.
There are two types of people in this world. Those who like Neil Diamond and those who don't.
What is the crisis, Bob?
My ex-wife loves him.
Just when patient Bob Wiley was making progress,
Dr. Marvin, you can help me.
Dr. Leo Marvin was making other plans.
As of this afternoon, I'm taking my family on vacation until Labor Day.
But Leo's vacation
Dr. Marvin!
is about to become
Dr. Marvin!
Bob's therapy.
Oh, I really appreciate this.
I do not see patients on vacation, ever.
We just got to figure out a way to work around your schedule. 2 to 4, 3 to 5, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I don't want any of you letting Bob into this house.
He's a sweet guy. Could we invite Bob over for dinner? Would you like some more chicken, Bob?
Faye, this is so scrumptious.
Will you stop that, please?
Now, while Bob is getting better,
Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm a schizophrenic, and so am I.
Leo is taking a turn for the worse.
You're angry.
No, I don't get angry.
You're upset.
Relax, Leo. Take a vacation.
I'm on vacation!
Touchstone Pictures presents Bill Murray
Hello, I'm Bob. Would you knock me out, please?
and Richard Dreyfuss
Don't you understand? This man is crazy!
in a totally insane comedy.
You've turned a perfectly peaceful house into an insane asylum! Get out!
Why'd you need to kick Bob out of the house?
He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone!
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
What about Bob?
What are you doing with a rifle?
Death therapy, Bob. It's a guaranteed cure.
I want to get away from a little bit of the technical and into sort of the profiles of what makes certain people so incredibly successful in this town. You have had an amazing filmography. You've either written, produced, directed films. I'm looking at my notes because there's so many that starred Robin Williams, Bill Murray, Robert Redford, Jim Carrey, Eddie Murphy, Sean Connery, Richard Dreyfuss, Gene Hackman, Ray Romano, and Joe Pesci. And yet everybody, I talked to Gary Shusett and other people, everybody in Hollywood says you're a great guy to work with. You're the nicest guy they know. And so I'm wondering, how did you develop this reputation as the guy that everybody wants to work with?
I don't think I did. I think I'm the guy that everybody can walk all over. I don't know. You know, you're really just doing your best on the page, I think, and then you hope to get lucky with who they get for the movies.
But in meetings, I mean, people say you're just a nice guy to work with, whether it's rewrites or whatever. Was that something that you just consciously developed as you got older, or were you always like this?
I mean, I think it was so many years of work that I didn't really, and I think most writers I meet are nice guys. You know, we try to fight for what we believe in, and believe me, it hasn't been an easy road with a lot of those folks. But you know, it's just work. You know, we're trying to have a good time at the same time that we know we're working hard to make what we do good. So there's a lot of stress in these situations, but my feeling is there's no reason but to be anything but calm and sort of, you know, gentlemanly and gentlewomanly about the whole thing. And I mean, on Gay Poets Society, Peter Weir, at the end of every evening, no matter how stressful, we'd all go back to his place and he'd fix dinner for 8 or 10 people. And I just said, how do you, I mean, I was just, racked from the day's work and worried about this and did we do that right? And he said, it's been 8 or 10 films. This is my job. And you have to treat it like a job. And
you have to eat.
You have to eat, you have to sleep, but it's, I don't know, I don't think I'm any more in tune than anybody else.
Well, what would be, if there's some personality traits, because I thought about it. I thought, Jeff Nathanson, Bruce Joel Rubin, Steve Zalian, Frank Darabont, you all seem quiet, understated, humble. Are there some other character traits that you would recommend that writers have when they're in meetings? Obviously, attentive listeners, but anything else?
Well, I think, there is a kind of a cynical rule, which is say yes to everything, and then only do what you believe. And most of it, if you engage in an argument with someone, they'll remember it, and then when you come back, they'll be looking for that particular, how you did that note, and they'll go, okay, didn't do it, and there'll be a fight. If you just go, wow, that's interesting, that's pretty good, okay, I get that. And you write everything down, you don't seem to fight anything, they'll go, wow, he loved everything I had to say, because, in the same way that we writers have our work, and we have a certain amount of ego about it, they have an ego about their notes. Yeah. So they want to think that their notes are well received and that they're smart and everything else. So if you give them that at the beginning, I don't know how many have gotten studio notes, but they always start with the same couple of lines of, well, this is a great draft, and we're really enthusiastic about the writing. If you've got 2 lines of props, then they destroy you. It's kind of the same thing taken to an extreme with the people giving notes. You like everything, and then you only do what you believe in.
Because you do not want to be labeled as difficult, right? Because no one will work with you.
Yeah, I've seen writers, because I produce things, I've taken writers to meetings where, suggestions will come up, and they immediately engage and get defensive, and I can see the executive or whoever going, okay, this person is very defensive. They may be right. It's just their technique is not what it should be. So I think I've never had a situation except once where I didn't do the notes like that and had people call me up and go, "You didn't do my notes." They forget about their ideas, because you'll do a few of the things. Everybody has some good ideas. So occasionally some actors will hitch onto something that you didn't notice. They have a little penchant about something, and you won't do that note, and they go berserk. It's tricky, but the notes process, and every movie is sort of the death of 1,000 cuts, and you have to be really, really careful that by just doing a little here and a little there, you don't eviscerate the whole. So, and I've done it. So
you have to stand by the script, but you have to do it in a very tactful way.
Yeah.
What other, in your opinion, are other things that you've known writers that you've seen over the years do that kind of stop them from maximizing their success?
Dealing with rejection is the key to this business, I think, because there's going to be a ton of it. No matter how good the piece is you've written, it's going to be rejected by most people who read it for one reason or another. Not necessarily because it's not good. So everybody I know who has stuck with it has a career. A lot of people much more talented than they have left early just because they couldn't handle the body blows, and it feels like that. I can remember the first few times the rejections came. They would literally have me lying down in the middle of the floor, just thinking I'm the most worthless piece of crap on earth. And it would take, the first few times it happened, it would take me 2 or 3 hours to get over it, and then half an hour.
Good.
Yeah. And then eventually it was like, okay, next script. A few minutes of that, and you have to move on. So, and these days the rejections come pretty quickly because agencies are able to get scripts, sort of blast them out to everywhere all at once, and you'll know in a weekend whether something's going to sell or get made, whatever. So persistence is the key.
Would you say that, how's your family, spiritual development, other aspects of your life influenced your writing? Is it on a conscious level, unconscious level?
I think, you use everything you have. That's all you have. So to the extent that things are functioning well in my family, my scripts are about that. And to the extent that things aren't going well, those weeks or months or years, the scripts become about that. So you use it all. Hopefully to the good. I remember I just got married after, while I was working on the one about Bob, and my wife at the time had the habit of every time she'd eat something going, this is so good, And I thought, this is really, I love her, and, but this is really annoying. It's perfect for Bob. She saw it at the screening, and I was like, oh no, never did it again. So, perfect way of, it's a win-win situation.
There you go. There you go. When you're reading scripts of others, what would be a tip-off that you can tell that the script was written by a professional versus an amateur?
I don't know that there's any such thing, because there are a lot of professionals who, we all write scripts that suck. But to me, a story, it just grabs you. You start reading, and pretty soon you're just into the world that writer has taken you into, and you're either in it or you're not. And it's usually, as you mentioned, the first 5 or 10 pages. You're just taken in. There's and hopefully you stay there the whole way. And that's, occasionally you'll get things where you come back. I'm not sure that either the writer solves that for you or those are your notes. But in general, you feel like you've gone on a journey that's all consuming while you're reading it. And there are not many scripts that do that, but the ones that do, written by a professional or first-time writer, those are movies. Those things should get made.
Do you think that, so I've read scripts where they'll sort of wink to the reader or put in a lot of camera angles, a lot of things that jar you out of the story and remind you you're reading the screenplay. You think
it's a bad idea. I think so. I really think that, for me, I want the person to feel like they're actually sitting in the audience watching the movie, that I'm just, as a writer, just describing to them what they would see on the screen. And sometimes I remember reading a Shane Black script where on about page 8, he mentions a character, and then he goes, "You remember this character, don't you?" Of course you do. You're a highly paid professional reader. And that kind of stuff can serve to intimidate a reader to a certain extent, and that may work. But that's for a very specialized audience.
What is your process when you're critiquing, editing your dialogue? Because your dialogue seems so organic to the characters. It seems so genuine. And how many drafts do you go through just tweaking the dialogue to get it to sound as it does?
I am tweaking the dialogue until the script, until I hit send. It's and again, just kind of an unconscious process. I want it to sound as real as possible, and I absolutely don't want it to be expositional at all. One of the tricks, one of the tough things about writing is that you have to get pieces of story out through dialogue, and you don't want to write a whole scene just to talk about what's going on with a particular character at that moment. So you don't want him to say, "Oh, I got to tell you about my problem at the moment." It's got to come out through the dialogue, and the person reading it, if you want to be able to read the scene, and be able to scene go, "Oh, I see what's wrong. He's in the middle of a divorce, blah blah blah," and yet none of those words can be said in the scene. So it's a constant process of trying to figure out how to get that exposition out and how to make the dialogue sound real. And in a comedy, make it funny. But it's I don't know. There's some comedy writers who just have an incredible gift for that. Just the snappy stuff. That's not me. It's all situational. So I just try to remain true to the situation, try to stay true to what the character is going to say or want in that moment, and hope the dialogue will come out of that. Because characters are sort of, they're walking strategies in my mind. They're trying to get something. So the question is, what are they going to do to get it?
Have you done any exercises over the years, like to listen to people in cafes or record conversations or something to sort of train yourself?
I do that occasionally, you know. I mean, I do find myself listening, but I don't do it intentionally. I have friends who do, and I'm sort of, I have a friend who I think is a great writer, and he talks to me all the time about hearing this and hearing that, and then I go, oh my God, of course, I should be out there with a, you know, eavesdropping, because he does, and here's some great stuff, but I don't consciously do it. But I do, you know, I mean, I think we all just watch what's going on in the world around us, and that's the father first.
As hard as breaking the story is, would you say, though, that you know, getting that dialogue in the final shape before you turn it in is almost as hard?
I think the story is the most important thing. I think readers and everybody can live with bad dialogue because it's lower down on the food chain. The core idea is the most important thing, and then how that lays itself out is second. That would be the story, and then the dialogue is sort of third. So, I mean, they'll buy a script with bad dialogue, but they will not buy a bad idea.
Right, but if they give the script to a named actor, he or she's going to look at the first 10 pages and read the dialogue.
That's right.
And make a decision on that.
Even an actor will come in if the story is compelling, if they feel like it's something they can sort of wrap their emotions around.
And then rewrite the dialogue.
Yeah, rewrite the dialogue. They're going to anyway, in their minds. The old actors, you know, my dialogue, bullshit, my dialogue.
How does your approach to rewriting differ if you're wearing your writer hat versus your producer hat versus your director hat?
It's the same. I mean, I try to be, and I don't try to be, I just turns out I am, as ruthless on my own stuff and as I am on anybody else's. I mean, it's just, you read and, you know, when something's wrong, you make a mental note of it, and then when it's all over, you try to figure out why. And then you have to attack it, and I think that's the process of writing. You write a first draft, and you know, you feel like, okay, it's not going to get any worse than this, you hope, and then you go back and start thinking, okay, this scene doesn't feel so good, or maybe I didn't justify this whole change of character so well, and so forth, and then you start improving it, and you do the same thing with other people's scripts, whether you're rewriting them or you're just acting as a producer or director.
What's the best piece of advice that a screenwriter ever gave you?
Get out. Boy, I can't remember screenwriters ever giving me advice. I don't think they want the competition.
How about a producer or an executive?
I mean, I had so many people tell me to get out of the business. When I first got out here, there was I went to Vanderbilt, and there was a director named Delbert Mann who was directed Marty and many other great movies and TV movies. And I went out to lunch with him and sat down, and he said, you know, I'm seeing you because we went to the same alma mater, and I'm here to tell you, get the hell out of this business. It's a misery. You'll never make it. You know,
Thank God you didn't listen to him.
Yeah, I mean, he was very sweet about it. He meant it, you know, and I sort of feel the same way. It's just, you know, if I had it to do over, I mean, it's wonderful and it beats working, but
well, it goes to that rejection factor you're talking about. You have to have very thick skin.
Yeah.
Who's a screenwriter that you respect and why, and what about their writing sort of informs you and influences you?
Well, I love Alvin Sargent, and he's, you know, I know him personally, and I've read a lot of his scripts, and he spends a long time, you know, with every scene, with every script, year and a half, and it's just magical watching the process of him taking something that's already really good when he lets friends read it, and then he doesn't ever want to hear, I mean, he wants to hear what you have to say, but he can just tell by the way you communicate what you feel. You can't lie to Alvin. You can't say, this is a great, he'll go, no, that's not a great scene, and I can tell you're just being sweet, and just being kind. He gets it that way, and then the changes that he makes without any specific suggestions are just, they're mind-boggling. I mean, it's amazing what taking that amount of time can do. And I think there's so much pressure on the rest of us because we haven't somehow established ourselves as the kind of writer who does that, to do it in 6, 8, 12 weeks, that we just don't do justice to what we do. it's a first draft, masquerading as our final draft.
Well, you can't do ordinary people.
No, you can't. No. And Alvin, and ordinary people. Alvin started reading the book and then kind of drifted off writing the script and never read the second half of the book. So he doesn't know, and I've never read the book, whether the movie follows the book or not. So those who have read it, it might. But taking your time is really important, and yet there's so much pressure not to. And the way to get work in this business is to be fast. I mean, when I finally got lucky enough to start getting work, by that time I'd written 6, 8 screenplays, and I could, write as if I had to write a screenplay in 8 or 10 days. So the studio, that was something the studio really wanted, particularly doing rewrites, where you can turn around all the script in 2 or 3 days if you have to.
Well, but let's address that.
Again, not good, but good enough for them.
But everybody knows the importance of having agents, and yet aren't agents mostly about the material and not about the writer's career?
I don't think they're about either, really. They're about packaging, and that's not being fair. Agents are, there's every kind of agent out there, but eventually you want to land with an agent who cares about your career and is in it for the long haul with you. And so, is there to protect you and make sure that you as the writer are getting a fair shake with the studio and so forth. But ultimately, since most agents now work at big agencies, it's about, is the material that
it's about the deal.
Is the material, yes, it's about the deal, but it's how many of our clients are going to fit into this movie. And since the agent gets a chance to read his or her writer first, then they have a chance to slip it to other agents who are in the packaging department and the talent department and so forth, so that by the time your agent calls you, he's hopefully already found somebody to star in it. You have to hope it's somebody you want. And that gives them control over the movie.
When these writers go home this evening, after they celebrate Valentine's Day, I wanted to think about a writing exercise that you could suggest for them that they can try, that they'll be, will help them be a better writer tomorrow. I'm going to email them that David Milch.
Yeah, Milch. Wow.
But just something that you found when you get stuck or when you want to recharge your batteries, you want to go off in a different tangent. Is there a writing exercise that you kind of do for yourself?
I think it's, not too long ago it occurred to me that a couple of writers that I like, Faulkner and Garrison Keillor, did something that I think is really smart, which is that they created a little place. It might have been, for Faulkner it was Alpha County, and for Keillor it's Lake Wobegon. And this is a world that they create for themselves. It's real to them. It may in fact have been their lives, but it's a fictional place where they can just go and make up stories about the people that they knew and so forth. And I realize that's a smart thing to do, whether you ever use it or not. It's a comfortable place. It's your little world. And I found that world is really full of a lot of great stuff. There's in that world there's no need to entertain or to make money for people. It's just your world. Something good will come out of it. But I suggest creating that little world and writing about it, and trying to write a little about it every day. There may never be a screenplay in it, but there will be bits of it that will inform what you're doing.
That's a great idea.
I'm James Jordan. Hope you enjoyed this video. For links to other videos and lots of free articles about screenwriting, please visit candidcoverage.com. Thank you for watching.